All right, episode 33. So 2023 was kind of a crazy year, right? Not only for myself, but I feel like also for the rest of the world. I feel like this was the first year really of getting back to a sense of normalcy since COVID. And as I looked back at some of the biggest moments and trends, I forgot kind of all of the weird shit that really went down. So from Taylor Swift to Elon Musk taking over Twitter, I'm going to cover all of the pop culture craziness and force you really to just relive it with me, one final time. Why not? So first, let's define pop culture. Pop culture is defined as relating, referring, or belonging to cultural and commercial artifacts, media, and entertainment, reflecting suited to or aimed at the taste of the general masses of the people. The most common forms of popular culture are movies, music, television, video games, sports, entertainment news, fashion, and various forms of technology. Personally, I would say that I am a closeted pop culture fan. I try to play, pretty cool. Like I'm not paying attention to what the rest of the world really is obsessed with. But I would say diving into like e-news is definitely a guilty pleasure of mine. I actually had to unfollow the Instagram account because I was just spending way too much time on that profile. I had to take a real good hard look at myself and be like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Why are you so invested with Emma Chamberlain's breakup right now? Come on, let's get it together. There's got to be more beneficial ways to spend your time. But I digress. In terms of popular culture, I think a few celebrities really stood out in my eyes in 2023. Obviously, it was Taylor Swift's year, right? From breaking Ticketmaster to taking over the NFL, this girl just became the most influential person in the world, really. Now, for me personally, her fandom is like nothing I've ever seen before. And you really have to give this girl like immense props, really, I think. She's remained so relevant throughout the entire year. Now, personally, I am not a big fan of her music, but my fiance is a pretty big Swiftie, so I hear a lot about Taylor Swift from her. Taylor Swift is probably 80% of all the music that she listens to, but she was fortunate enough to attend the Eras Tour, and I don't think I've ever seen this girl happier in my life. Just going off that for a second, I had to pick her up from the concert, and as I'm like approaching the stadium, I realized I've never just seen a more diverse group of people in my life. I don't think you had mothers, fathers, daughters, grandmothers, people of all ethnicities, straight people, gay people, and all of them just looked like they found out the secret to life, right? They were all just so happy. I've never seen a happier crowd. And even though I don't necessarily like or listen to her music, I think she's putting out a really positive message out there, right? When she seems super wholesome, which is great. That's really all you want from a celebrity. And I love how she just rolls deep to all of these Chiefs games with a A-list group of celebrities. Like, it is pretty insane the amount of people she's able to get to these games. And it's just cool to see, she's awesome. Another blonde celeb that was in the limelight for a different reason was Gwyneth Paltrow. Now, these 2 weeks of testimony regarding the skiing incident became the biggest celebrity court case I'd want to say since Johnny Depp and Amber Heard faced off last year. But to recap, a 76-year-old man broke 4 ribs and got a concussion when he basically collided with Gwyneth on the slopes. So his original lawsuit was for $3 million, and that was dismissed, so he filed an amended complaint for $300,000. And in response, Paltrow countersued for $1 in attorney fees. And this was supposed to be like a symbolic action to prove to the public eye that this wasn't about money for her. But I actually found out that Taylor Swift also did this in 2017 when a radio host defamation lawsuit, and she was awarded $1 as well. So that's pretty crazy. But as a society, man, we just love celebrity court cases. Just seeing their personal lives just unfold in front of them always is something worth watching, I think. We have this idea of celebrities and it's all perfect for them, but once you get a sneak peek into their lives, you're just like, what the fuck is going on? This is awesome. I can't believe that there's all of this drama. But somewhat related, just because it was like a what the fuck moment, was these old men having babies in 2023. Robert De Niro had another kid at age 79, and Al Pacino, who's 83, announced that he's had another kid with a 29-year-old girlfriend. And I personally don't know how this isn't talked about more, I think. This is mind-blowing to me. On one end, like, props to these old guys for still giving it their all at age 80. But on the other side, it's like you have the wisdom to know that this is kind of fucked up, right? Like, you have to think like this isn't going to go well for that kid. Like, sure, they're set up for life in regard to money, but at age 10, it's either your father's dead or he's on his way out pretty soon. So it just can't be a good quality of life for these kids, man. What are these old men doing? You gotta think you had the experience to learn by now. But to each their own. We also cannot forget about Rihanna and her Super Bowl halftime performance, where she basically used it as a pregnancy announcement, which was crazy. It was basically a Rihanna concert that was interrupted by a football game, right? I loved it, man. I mean, Rihanna was awesome. She does whatever the fuck she wants to do. I don't even think she danced or anything. She really just walked around on different platforms. She had no surprise guests, and she still delivered, It was epic, I think. And not to mention her makeup brand, Fenty Beauty, which she applied on during the show, it garnered something like $6 million in earned media in the first 12 hours following the game. And it was crazy. She 10 out of 10 for her, It was a definite highlight, I think, for 2023. This girl just went out there and she did what Rihanna does, She gave it her all. And I don't even know if she did, honestly. She doesn't look like she gave it her all, and she still performed. She barely acts like she's trying, and she delivers, which I love. Now, moving into movies and TV, you cannot not talk about Pedro Pascal. This guy was basically everywhere in 2023. He was the meme king of the year. Last of Us, in my opinion, was probably one of the best TV shows of the year. That, and I'd say The Bear. But in terms of movies, it was all about Barbenheimer. These two movies, I feel like, made society finally get back into theaters since COVID, but were both good in my opinion. I mean, I saw them both. Obviously, they were very different. Barbie turned into this cultural movement and was kind of crazy, but every single brand wanted to find a way to be just associated with Barbie somehow. There were Barbie shoes, the Barbie cosmetics, Barbie luggage, Barbie gaming consoles. It was all over the place, and everyone just wanted their little piece to hop onto this Barbie train. And beyond the big red boots that happened in early 2023, I'd say the pink Barbie aesthetic was definitely the fashion movement of the year. Now, I'm not much of a fashion person myself. I wish I was, but I'm just too cheap, man. I have maybe 10 shirts in my rotation. But one day I hope to just get rid of everything and start over and maybe be a little fashionista. But maybe by the time I'm 30, I think that's probably a good goal. But yeah, Barbie was definitely taken over, man. That was that pink trend was all over the place. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing hot pink somewhere. Now, one kind of crazy celebrity trend that I noticed personally was the number of biographies or memoirs that were released in 2023. Now, my entire life, I haven't been much of a reader, but in 2023, I really started listening to more audiobooks, more podcasts, and I was so interested by the amount of people that really just put out books and really just expose themselves. But you've got Britney Spears, you got Prince Harry, Elliot Page, Matthew McConaughey, Jada Pinkett Smith also put out a book. And it's wild to me. I never really realized how many celebrities actually do this. Maybe I just didn't realize it before, but yeah, that's just a few. But I think this is a really interesting trend. I guess it's because they really, for the first time in their careers, get the opportunity to control the narrative. And I think that's kind of really interesting. My assumption is that it just obviously keeps them relevant and gives them additional exposure. You go on publicity tours, other podcasts. It can lead them to starting their own podcast even maybe. But out of those, the only one I read was Matthew McConaughey's, or listened to, I should say. It was great. Green Lights was awesome. I really enjoyed it. He had a super crazy life. Obviously, you don't know how much of this is obviously embellished. But yeah, super crazy read. And nonetheless, it was a great book, I think. I think everyone should kind of listen to it. It definitely put me on a Matthew McConaughey kick. We just watched Interstellar again. But yeah, definitely a crazy trend. I mean, I wonder who anyone can put out a memoir, I guess, but as long as you're in the limelight, I mean, someone's eventually gonna going to read it and it's going to blow up. But I feel like there were also some pretty crazy health trends in 2023. To me, the biggest movement that I noticed, I'd say, were ice baths. I feel like every person was just pushing the ice baths and the benefit of the ice bath. Now, I've never done one. It sounds absolutely horrible. And I've heard people on podcasts and stuff be like, well, just start out by taking a cold shower. And I'm just like, no, I don't really consider myself a healthy person, but I think I'm doing enough where I don't need to make myself miserable by stepping into freezing water. Like, I get it. That's great that people are all for this, but I don't want to make myself miserable for 10 minutes sitting in freezing cold. That just doesn't sound enjoyable. There's got to be another way to be just as healthy, I think. I don't know. And yeah, I think everyone was kind of just like, let's see what the ice baths have to offer. It was definitely a big trend. But on kind of the opposite kind of spectrum of things, saunas were big, I think, in 2023. So to backtrack a little bit, it came out that for 6 years in a row, Finland was ranked #1 as the happiest country in the world. And a lot of people think that's because of the sauna culture in Finland. It's an integral part of their lives. And us Americans never really realized that before. But there was a stat that said something like there were 3.3 million saunas within the country of Finland, and the population is only 5.5 million. So that's insane how often and how many these people are they're sauning, they're just sweating, they're sitting together and just living their lives happy as can be. Personally, I'm trying to keep on as much water weight as possible, so saunas are out of the question for me too. But in the celebrity world, I think it was definitely the era of Ozempic. So in layman's terms, this once-a-week injection really mimics a naturally occurring hormone in your body and basically tells your brain that you're full, and while also like slowing your digestion. But as of early 2023, the hashtag Ozempic on TikTok had over 600 million views and counting. And this TikTok weight loss trend just caused a global diabetes drug shortage. To me, it's always interesting to see kind of like what weight loss trends pop up every year. You eat meat, you don't eat meat, no carbs, only carbs, eat 5 meals a day, only eat after 1 p.m. Like there's just so much, you're just getting bombarded with so much different information, and it's all because of like whatever social media says, right? That's what the trend is, and that's what people hop on. But yeah, Ozempic was crazy. There's still a lot of controversy around it, so it's definitely not going to go away in 2024. And speaking of social media, we cannot forget about the death of the Twitter bird, man, now called X. This is probably one of the craziest brand shifts of my lifetime, I think. I was actually in an interview last week, and like we were just talking about social media, and I mentioned Twitter, and the guy actually cut me off, and he said, "Oh, you mean X?" And he was like dead ass serious too, and I was just like, "Come on, dude! Like it's not I'm not calling it X right now. It's too new. I'm still calling it Twitter because that's what everyone knows it as. You tweet, it's Twitter. That's the platform." And it was just that was a crazy brand move for in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, Elon is just driving this ship into the ground, I feel like. According to a poll in June by the Axios Harris Reputation Rankings, Twitter under Musk is the 4th most hated brand in the US. And then even this week, Mashable posted an article that was titled Elon Musk's 6 Dumbest Twitter Decisions of 2023. There were a lot, but we've narrowed it down to the worst. Like, that's just a crazy, it's insane how it's one of the biggest brands in the world. It's one of the biggest social media platforms of my lifetime. And he's just doing whatever he wants to do with it, Honestly, it's pretty crazy to watch. He's just taking over this global brand, doing whatever the fuck he wants, causing controversy, and I'm sure there's much more to come in the next few years. Finally, I have to end on the Titan submarine, I think. On June 18th, this submarine operated by an American tourist and expeditions company known as OceanGate imploded during an expedition to view the wreck of the Titanic. Now, communication was lost between the Titanic and its ship for about an hour and 45 minutes into the dive, and authorities were alerted when it failed to resurface later that day, which led to this giant search and rescue mission. After 4 very long days, a remote-operated underwater vehicle really discovered a debris field containing parts from the wreckage. But For those 4 days, everyone was just talking about this story. You could not escape it for more than 5 minutes. There were memes, there were skits. Everyone was just weighing in on if these people were alive or not, and like how long they would survive. It was madness, I want to say. And then during the search and rescue, the stepson of the billionaire on the submarine tweeted at the members of the band Blink 182, and he said, my stepdad Hamish is on the submarine lost at sea. I'm devastated, but coming to the San Diego show tonight so you guys can give me hope and cheer me up. And oh shit, people just lost their fucking minds by this guy. And eventually I think he had to like delete his profile. And it was insane, man. Everyone was just consumed by this story. And then all of a sudden, like within a week, it kind of just went away. Everyone was just wrapped up in it. And really it was like, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing trying to go down there? But I don't know. I mean, overall, it was a pretty crazy year, right? You kind of forget about all the crazy shit that goes down and years start like blending together. But I'm excited to see what 2024 has in store for us. But yeah, that's all I have for this week. If you have a favorite moment or trend throughout the year that I forgot or didn't mention, I'd love to hear it. I'm sure I'm leaving just a bunch of shit out. But yeah, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you next week.